We'll open it up with a few opening comments, please.
First of all, this is a bad look right here. I got to figure out how to move this thing. It's a bad look for me here. Okay. My head looks shaped odd. Hey, overall, guys, I'm just, really proud of this group. I think you look at this Wisconsin team and, we've got tremendous respect for them. Top 10 team in the country. They're really talented. They're obviously old. That's been much discussed, but they're well coached. They're really disciplined. But as we always say, players win games. I thought our players from the jump really grabbed a hold of this thing, and couldn't be more proud of our group. I'm just extremely proud of them for how they played today. It was a tremendous character win for our group after a tough one the other night.
Okay, we'll open it up with questions. We'll start off with Bruce Hooley from Press Pros. Bruce?
Yeah, Chris, this would be a great win in another era where, you had fans and all that kind of stuff. I just wonder, getting a team ready to play on the road now, like, what is it like playing on the road? This environment is one where Ohio State has really struggled, as is almost everyone. So what is the challenge? Is it really neutral court or not?
Well, first of all, I would say, Bruce, it's a great win regardless because of the competition. But to your point, I totally get it. It's very much different, Bruce. I think every environment is a neutral environment, and that's just the reality. You're playing the other team. You're trying to execute against the other team. It's a bit awkward at home, I think, for everybody. But at the end of the day, between the lines, it really is about execution and how you're playing. And it's a great win because you're beating a terrific team. The environment and what it would have been here, I think our first year, they weren't nearly the team they are now. We won here. And then last year, they took us to the woodshed here last year. So it is certainly different with fans, but the quality opponent makes it a wonderful win.
I don't have the final numbers on their three-point shooting, but that was obviously a big factor today. That can be your defense, or that can be they just had an off day. As you assess it from the bench, what would you think it was?
Probably a combination of both. I will tell you this, Bruce, when you get ahead of a team, sometimes those shots are a little more difficult. So I think us jumping to a couple possession lead there early was important because it just throughout the game puts game pressure on those shots.
Next up, Adam Jardy with the Columbus Dispatch. Adam?
Chris, you talk often about in this league, you never feel like a game is in hand. Once you guys went up like 9-6, it was never a two-possession game. And I know they occasionally threw some punches, but you guys always answered. Did you feel anything different with your team throughout this game, that it seemed like every time they hit a bucket, you guys were able to come down and answer?
Feel anything different than
just I guess not different, but what did you feel from your team as far as why you were able to do that so consistently today, where you kept them at arm's length the whole time?
I just thought, and it was true, Adam. I think we answered. Kyle's and one was critical when they might have cut it to 7 or 6. I can't remember, Adam, but that was a critical possession for us. A really critical possession. I almost called a timeout. I very nearly called a timeout. We had 2 timeouts. I was debating on whether or not to call the timeout, and our guys just played, and Justice made a nice pocket bounce to Kyle, and Kyle was able to finish with the N1. But I think, you got to trust your guys. You got to trust your team. And I thought they answered the bell every time. It never does, Adam, in this league, especially when you're playing the caliber team that we were playing and their ability to make threes. It never felt like the game was even close to in hand. Never once. To me, it felt like a possession game every game, because it's almost how you got to play against Wisconsin. Because the moment you're undisciplined with them, they take full advantage.
Now, how did you see? I guess what were huddles like? What were guys like as they were? Every time there be a stoppage, you guys are reassessing and talking about what you're going to do next. What was the general vibe? What was the general mood like as you were going through this game?
Great. This team has been extremely engaged from the very start of the year. A really, really engaged group. And they bounced back from tough losses very well. They've come to work. They're competitive. They feel losses. I told them, I said, hey, I didn't sleep for 3 days. Just because of, you feel that as a coach, but they came back the next day ready to work and had really good preparation here last night for this team.
Next up, Patrick Murphy, 24/7 Sports. Patrick?
Chris, you look at the games CJ missed, and you guys go 3-1. You're able to do some things that maybe a lot of people didn't expect. What is the value that he brings that maybe isn't seen? Wins, losses, assists, things like that maybe don't get seen by the average person watching the game that he then was able to bring to.
It's a good question, Patrick, because I don't think he gets credit enough for him. He's a tremendous talker defensively. Tremendous talker. He sees things and he competes. Sometimes he competes a little too hard defensively and he gets in foul trouble. But he really competes defensively. And then I thought today what he's done really well, he did really well in this game, is he got to the paint and made really good decisions. And when he's playing well, that's what he does, is get to the paint and make really good decisions. Now, you're right. I thought we were in a good rhythm offensively. And one of the things as a coach is you're concerned about the offensive rhythm that we were in and disrupting that by implementing a guy that's going to play 20 to 25 minutes and the ball's going to be in his hands. So we had to talk about that a lot as a coaching staff on kind of what we were going to do. And a lot of it was play by feel. We went into it with a plan, but a lot of it was go by feel as well.
And do you see that being the case going forward with him? You'll feel it out, or do you see him kind of fitting back into the rotation as he was previously?
Some of it'll depend on how his hand is feeling and what the pain tolerance is, Patrick. But, again, I think we're in a good rhythm. I like the ball in Justice's hands at times as well at the point guard spot, as well as Dwayne. So we won't go away from that.
Next up, Stephen Means, Cleveland.com. Stephen?
Coach, EJ Liddell, and just can you talk about the way he's been able to bounce back in these Saturday games after maybe not having the best game on a weekday game? It's pretty much been the case these last 4 games.
Yeah, he's as I've said over and over, he's a tremendous person. So when you have really good people, they kind of bounce back. They figure out what they can do better. They move forward. They come back ready to watch film and work. And he's really talented. So he's a mismatch issue. He's a problem. And he's just a sophomore. So teams are going to do some things and try to take away some things. I thought Purdue did a really good job of that. But against certain matchups, we were able to really attack tonight.
Speaking of Purdue, did you see, he said that maybe he got doubled a little bit more against Purdue than he did against Wisconsin. Did you kind of see the same thing from him?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. And we knew that. He knew that going into it. We planned for it. Just like Dwayne getting a ton of attention. EJ gets a lot of attention, and there's going to be times where other guys are going to benefit from that. And I thought that was the case some with Dwayne tonight. But overall, I felt really good about his attack, his aggressiveness tonight was really good. And again, I thought he was able to get to his spots and do what he does, which is really score the ball.
Next up, Bill Landis with The Athletic. Bill?
Hey, Chris, another one about CJ. Late in the game there, he was like hounding Trice and I think forced a turnover on a handoff. He stepped in front of wall on that layup that he missed. Just, you got into a tight game, as I'm sure you were expecting at the end. Just how do you feel like CJ helped settle you guys down on those possessions where you were defending?
Yeah, it's a lot of that, Bill. It's a lot of those things that, again, as Patrick alluded to, maybe the fans don't always see, is his help awareness defensively, his communication, and then his speed gives us a different element. I thought we lacked a little bit of burst at times against some of the teams we played in this stretch, and it didn't necessarily hurt us as much. Maybe it hurt us against Purdue, but we lacked the ability to get by people and get by defenses, and he provides that. But I think those plays you mentioned there defensively were as critical as anything. And he got to his pull up tonight and made great reads.
Next up, Jack Emerson with the Lantern. Jack?
Hi, Coach. Congrats on the win tonight. Wayne shot 1 of 9, but he led the team in assists and he was getting to the foul line. Just what have you seen from him this year when maybe his shot isn't falling?
Just real evolution of a really good player. You know, I just think the evolution of a really good player. Again, in this league, you are going to command, when you come in as effective as he's been, you're going to command a lot of attention. So you got to play the game the right way. You got to move the ball. You got to create open shots for other people. EJ's going to have to continue to do that at times. Dwayne will as well. You know, you got to be able to do those things. I just think he continues to evolve and grow as a player. Like, he's taken a major step as a junior. I think probably people like I'm talking about league play, Big Ten play, the best, you know, competition in the country. I just think obviously EJ's taken a major step, but so has Dwayne.
Next up, Steve Hellwagon with 24/7 Sports. Steve?
There's a question from Steve.
Yeah, Coach. Congratulations. Just the overall efficiency of your offense. I think you were 10 percentage points better than what they normally give up shooting and 12 points more than what they give up on average in a game. Just and it started early. You're sticking shots in the first couple, 2-3 possessions. Just what do you say about the overall efficiency? It was when CJ was in and when he wasn't in as well, kind of both, really.
Yeah, I think that was probably as good as we played offensively in our 3+ years against an elite defense. I just thought it was really efficient. It was really smart. I thought Ryan Peden did a great job with the game plan offensively. Terry and Jake did a great job with the defensive game plan. But I thought overall our attack, and at the end of the day, players make plays. And I just thought against a defense this good, this formidable, you know, it was as efficient as, you know, even when we won here a couple of years ago, their defense wasn't near as good as it is now. And we got really frustrated here last year. So we obviously had to play differently than what we did last year. I thought our guys were tremendous with that.
And there was some talk about scheduling an opponent this week. Is there any possibility? Do you have a date we should set aside this week to expect to come watch a game, or what? Where do things stand, I guess?
I'll make that decision here, Steve, and we'll let you know as soon as we make that decision. I'm not sure. I'm debating. We obviously got a gauntlet with. We got some time off, but we also, you know, got a tremendous opponent, Michigan State, coming up. So we'll decide if we need a game in between there to get our guys some game freshness and readiness in between a 7-8 day layoff.
Thanks.
Coach, are you okay time-wise? We have a couple more, but if you need to.
Sure. No, it's fine, Jerry.
Up next, Brendan Gulick, Buckeyes Now from Sports Illustrated. Brendan?
Hey, Coach, congrats on another good day today. Seth mentioned when we spoke with him earlier on how much as a team you guys felt like you learned from the Purdue game. Can you elaborate a little bit more on some of those things that, you know, most stood out from that game and how you implemented them and did them better today?
You know, it's a different team, different opponent, different defense, and different way of playing. So, you know, I think all in all, what we learned was we did not execute defensively or offensively down the stretch, and that's my fault. And in that game, but I think there were plenty of plays throughout the game where we got outworked at times. And yet, you know, again, we did some really good things too. I think Purdue's a good opponent, really good team. But I think as much as anything right now, you know, it really is, you know, if we'd have came out of here with a 2-point loss, I certainly would have been disappointed. But if we'd have played the way that we played here and lost by 2, there would have been a lot of encouragement too, because of that's what matters right now is are you performing and growing as a group? And as much as any group we've coached, this group has grown.
Well, you certainly showed a lot of poise late. I guess this might sound silly, but how much fun is it to win a game on the road against a Big Ten team that's ranked top 10 in the country? It's the third time this year you've beaten a top 15 team on the road. Does that fact maybe help lighten an otherwise sometimes heavy season?
Sure. Yeah. I do think you want your players to celebrate, to your point, the wins more this year than ever. You want them to really enjoy wins playing in the middle of a pandemic against a top 10 opponent, or as you mentioned, the last couple opponents, top 15 opponents. Like, you want to see big smiles on your players' faces, because tomorrow morning we're going to get up and we're going to get tested at 8 a.m. And we're going to go through that routine, and they're not going to have a chance to see their families on the right. So you really do want your guys to enjoy it. So, at the end of the game, when you see the smiles on their face, I think it's really rewarding as a coach and a coaching staff, because, they've invested a lot in this season, and you want them to be able to play meaningful games in February and March. And I hope we can continue to build towards that.
Last couple questions. Next up, Phil Harrison with Buckeyes Wire. Phil?
Hey, Coach. Congratulations on the win. Going into this year, a lot of unknowns, a lot of new faces coming into the program. And I don't know what your expectations were, but from the outside looking in, it definitely looks like this team is getting better, especially on the offensive side of the ball. Do you feel like at this point in the season, I know you touched on the growth, and the team more than any you've had is starting to, has had some significant growth. Do you feel good about where this team is going right now? And if you had to put your finger on, the identity of this team, what would it be?
I think we've got to make improvements defensively, but we have become an elite offensive efficiency team right now, and I hope we can continue to do that. We turned it over a few too many times today, but we have to improve in our overall defensive effort and defensive attention to detail, and continue to do that. But I think, the progress and the growth of this group has been incredibly rewarding for us as a coaching staff, because we have continued. If you saw us play some of our early games, you would have had legitimate concerns about our group. And I was right there with you. But I knew that we had great guys, and hopefully we can continue to use every day that's in front of us to get better. We're not there yet. We've got a lot to improve on. We've got to coach better and play better, but it's been a phenomenal group to coach, because we've seen growth with each passing week.
And we'll wrap it up this evening with questions from Colin Hasshill with 11 Warriors. Colin?
Chris, you said a little bit ago that maybe this particular team, more than most, feels losses. And I know you said something similar a few weeks ago. Is that something that you take pride in, and your players feeling that too? And what does that attitude do for you guys in a game like this, where it's a big road game and you don't want the same result to happen that you just felt?
I think there's an awareness from our guys that you're playing in the caliber of league that we're playing in, and yet at the same time, it's a competitive group that is hungry to play well and to beat the caliber of teams we're going to play. And I think they understand. They understand Purdue's a really good team. They understand Michigan State's a really good team, even though those teams may not be ranked. And they obviously understand Wisconsin's a really good team, in Illinois. But I think for us, I think we do have a competitive group. We have a group that feels it, that collectively feels it. You observe that as a coach. I think we had a competitive group last year as well. I don't want to, in really our time here, but this group feels it. And, I think their response was as good of a response as again, maybe I've seen in terms of coming back the next day ready to work.